Hi, this is Samantha Ferrer, and I am the Conservation Officer of Museum Nanellen, and today I'm going to be talking about a rating system for condition checking your collection. This is the rating system that we implement in here at Museum Nanellen, and I'm going to go in depth about how this rating system goes. So I'm going to start with asking some questions like, how did you check your collection? Do you normally check your collection, or do you have already a labeling system for every time you do condition check? That could be like good, fair, poor, unacceptable condition. So you put in that label already on the objects that you care about. Then what do you do if you check your database or your collections management system and you find an object with a poor label? How do you know if that poor means that the object is degrading fast, very, very quick, so it's disintegrating rapidly, or is it's just dirt on surface? It looks that it's going to be disintegrating, but it's actually not. Or does it actually need conservation treatment? So that may be your top priority for commissioning conservation. One way to solve is just having a rating system that will help you prioritize which objects need urgent treatment, which ones can wait, and which one they just don't need anything else. Just basic condition check like every year or every so often. So the rating system that we use here is from 1 to 5, from the best to the worst, and it has 3 parts. So the first part is qualitative value. That means it's good, fair, poor, or unacceptable. So we have like, if a object is in very good condition, is because we don't have to do anything about it, just keeping it as it is. We got also good condition that probably needs some minor dusting or some minor care that we need to do. If it's poor condition, we know that the conservation is needed. It might be preventive or interventive conservation. If it's in very poor condition, the conservation is imminent, so we need urgent conservation. And mostly it's going to be interventive, so it needs proper conservation treatment. And number 5 will be a recommend deaccession, which that will have to apply according to your policy. If an object is in a derelict state that we cannot do anything about it, probably the best way is just make sure to dispose of it as per your policy. So the second part will be talking about the structure, the stability of the object. And here we have 3 rating systems. We got, if the structure is stable, that means the object can be moved without any issues. The second is the structure is somehow unstable, so it can be moved but with precaution. And when the structure is very unstable, number 3, can't be moved without compromising even more the structure of the object. That means it needs treatment. The third part is the case of what kind of treatment does the object need. So we got 4 options, or we got 1, like we don't need any conservation on it, just keep it as is. The second is having a minimal conservation treatment that probably will be more preventive, like more conservation cleaning, like dusting with brushes or a museum vac. The third will be like conservation required. It could be interventive, or maybe still more adept preventive conservation. And then the last one will be like conservation required urgently. That means that we have to commission conservation treatment of the object, and that will be our top priority. So in summary, it's going to be condition 1 when we rate an object will be conservation. Condition 1, which is in very good condition, no conservation needed. Condition 2, which is good conservation, the structure is stable and there's minimal conservation required. Number 3 is poor conservation. The structure is unstable and conservation is required. Condition number 4 is very poor condition. Structure is very unstable and conservation is required urgently. And number 5 is recommend for deaccession. So it's from 1 to 5. I'm going to be showing around some different type of objects and how we can apply a rating system to it. For example, we're going to start with this jarred milk bottle, where at the beginning we're gonna be rated it at 1. Probably there's no conservation needed, but if we go in detail, we may, with the help of the light as well, we're gonna observe the object in different perspective, and we might see like accumulation of dust. So probably I will rate it as a 2. That it means it's a good condition, the structure is unstable, and there's a minimal conservation needed. That means just dusting the object. And then once I dusted it, it becomes again a condition number 1. So there's nothing needed. For example, this leather wallet, we can see that we need to handle it a little bit with care. The leather is a bit stiff. It needs probably reconditioning, although it's not something that is putting the structure too much in stress, unless we want to be using the object for some kind of access. We need some doing some research, and we have to make sure like we're handling the object with very, very delicate hands. So I will start with evaluating like, is in a good condition despite of being a bit stiff. The structure is still stable, and there's minimal conservation required. I might evaluate the need, as I said, for condition the leather, so in all the folding areas, so the folding areas won't damage even more with the handling. I've got here, for example, a photograph, framed photograph, but for the first, by the look of it, it's stable. So I will start with a 1. Probably I will inspect it even more to see any sign of dust. If I found any sign of dust, I will call it as a 2, because it will need a minimal conservation treatment. That means conservation clean is just dusting, as it is. But since knowing that it's a photograph, we might see that probably is attaching to the glass, and that might become a big issue later. So I might leave it on until 3. That it's between 2 and 3, so it's in a good condition. But if I leave it like this, it might turn into a 3, because the photograph might stick to the glass, and that will create a big issue. So it's easily for an object to go from condition 2, from good condition, to condition 3, which is poor condition. That will need conservation at some point. So I will have this object checked on probably on an annual basis, just to make sure it's still stable. I've got another object in here, which is also a glass bottle. And then here we have a big of an issue. We got a big damage in here. Obviously, the glass is broken. It's losing its stability. Obviously, I would call it as a poor condition. The structure is unstable. It might need some conservation if we want to handle this object even more for probably an exhibition, or loaning it up, so give more like a stability in this area. Going down, we have this book as an example. So at the beginning it looks in a very bad state. I will call it, yes, in a very, it's in poor condition. The structure, the binding, it's unstable. Obviously it already broke. So this will need conservation treatment. If we want to be using this item for exhibition, for example, as I said, living like that, we cannot handle it properly. Also, because at some point in its life, it's been taped with adhesive tape in here, and that will create some major issues on the paper, on the cardboard in the long run. So it's best practice to take these out at some point and treat it so that this auto-adhesive tape won't hurt anymore the paper. So that will be like a top priority for me if I need to commission some conservation. Another example of very good condition state that will be a structure very unstable is just this pot, which is basically, if you touch it, it will be disintegrated. So that will need a lot of consolidation to be able to be handled again. A final example here is this leather boot, and then here we can see that the leather in general is in great condition, but it's not very good. We might evaluate the need, for example, of consolidating it a bit more, but there's no need, there's no urgency about it. But the only thing that I can see in here is the eyelets of this boot are from metal, and that metal is starting to corrode. So the whole structure could be good condition, the structure is stable, but those metal bits, especially here, can be seen they start corroding, and that will need urgent treatment. So in general, all is a 2 condition, 2 is a good condition, but then all these metal parts will need treatment because their stability, they're unstable already. They start to mineralize, and they start becoming from iron to going back to their mineral stage. So I hope you find this useful and as a way for you to start creating a rating system for your condition checks.